Sam, what has gone on? I mean, it's absolutely crazy.
I have never seen anything like this.
Lee Anderson looked like he wanted to spontaneously combust.
There's a lot of people who will be upset by this. Do you really just leave around your leaving speech? It seems a bit wild. What the hell?
What on earth?
This is a
here?
basket case.
He's talking about a potential Labour defection next week.
I'd be amazed if he actually made that leap. That would be an
That'd be a
amazing.
bombshell.
Yeah, it would be a bombshell.
Hello and welcome to Daily Expresso. I'm James Walker, filling in for JJ. We've got a bit of an emergency podcast. Robert Jenrick has just defected to Reform. I'm joined by Sam Lister, our deputy editor, previously political editor for 20 years.
Not 20 years, don't age me.
Whoops. My boss as well.
Not far off, to be fair, not far off.
Sam, what has gone on? I mean, it's absolutely crazy what's going on.
Do you know what? I thought I'd seen it all, James. I really did.
Yeah.
You know, the Boris Johnson years were wild. I'm not going to lie. But wow, in that whole time I was over in Westminster, I have never seen anything like this. I mean, first of all, let's just go back a little bit. For a party leader to sack a member of their top team, but to do it publicly, to do it by video, to put it out on Twitter
Before you've had a chat with the guy.
She's not spoken to him at all.
Yep.
She sent a chief whip to do the dirty work and then went straight out on Twitter. That was, I have never seen anything like that. So we start with that. Obviously, she's then bounced Robert Jenrick into this announcement, which it seems neither Reform nor he were quite ready to do.
Well, I was going to say, Farage said at the start of the press conference, and we'll get on to how awkward that got in a second. He said at the start, Kemi jumped the gun. He'd been talking to Jenrick for weeks and months. You said September they started talking.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What you've heard from Westminster? He might not have gone, was Farage's take. 60-40 chance that he would have left. So he's saying Kemi jumped the gun.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair because actually with these defection talks, they are always done in top secret. You know, it's always the top people. They keep out almost everyone because otherwise it just leaks. Yeah. So they keep it to a really, really tight circle of people, really just,
need to know basis.
Yeah, absolute need to know. But there's a lot to discuss. There is a lot to discuss. There is timings. There's also like, what are you actually offering? What are you getting in return? Are you really a good fit? All these kind of things. Are you going to stand at the next election? There's a lot to kind of just pin down before you actually make that leap. It's not just a case of the Tories are in a bit of a state, so
I fancy it this week.
And so I think actually when Nigel Farage says, it was 60-40, I'm sure that's absolutely bang on because people can also, he's been in the Tory party a long time. People feel very loyal. They've got a lot of people who've campaigned for them over the years. There's a lot of people who will be upset by this. There's a lot of friends that you will leave. It's a big thing to cross the floor. It really is. So I think it probably is fair that it's 60-40. But anyway, it's happened, and it's happened in the most dramatic fashion possible.
Speaking of the drama, the most awkward, it must have been 90 seconds in politics ever.
At least. It felt Farage like 90 hours.
Yeah, Farage announces, Jenrick, welcome.
Ta-da!
And then nothing. You could hear a pin drop. Lee Anderson looked like he wanted to spontaneously combust. How do you think this is going to go down in Reform?
Oh, well, before we get onto that, let's talk about that 90-second, 90-minute, 90-hour gap. So it looks as though Kemi Badenoch has really she's been absolutely brutal about this. So the suggestion was that she had hard proof that he was going to defect, and that was in the form of his speech that had apparently just been left casually lying around, which seemed to me a little bit, hang on a minute. If you're going to go to all the bother of defecting and you're doing all these top secret talks, do you really just leave around your leaving speech? It seems a bit wild. Anyway,
just kind of check in with the Tories' record, 14 years of just utter chaos. Leaving something on a printer just actually checks.
Yeah, why not?
It tracks.
Our data kept being left on trains for quite a while.
Yeah,
but anyway, but actually, then shortly before this press conference, extracts of the speech then started to be tweeted out. So, she has really kind of gone for a pincer movement there. She said there was evidence, and then she's put out the evidence.
No love lost.
Which then, so the suggestion is that the delay in him appearing was because he was frantically rewriting those sections of his speech, because obviously he couldn't get on stage and read out the bits that Kemi Badenoch's been briefing out to the press. So that's supposedly what's behind that 90-second delay. But yeah, in terms of what this means for Reform, wow, because you only have to look back 1 week, Layla Cullingham friend of the Expresso, big friend of the Expresso. She's been in and talked to us at length about, how she, her vision for the world. She's only recently been chosen as the Reform Party candidate for London Mayor. 1 week ago, she said, "I don't want Robert Jenrick in the party." So that's slightly awkward. And she also said, I was frantically making some notes before I ran it in here, but she said, "I don't feel that the Conservatives have atoned for their sins, and I think we need a fresh look on the country."
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's only a few days ago since Nadeem Zahawi defected to Reform. That actually didn't really go down that well.
On that note, I want to go through some of your comments.
Yeah.
The first from Nelly74F. This is about Robert Jenrick defecting or being sacked. They said Kemi had shot herself in the foot. But to go on to something related to what you're saying about Nadeem Zahawi, Paul Smith 1981 says, "How many Tories have to join Reform before it becomes the Tory party rebranded?" There was a lot of comments on our video earlier in the week on Nadeem Zahawi's defection to the same effect.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of people on the right, people who were thinking of voting Reform, people who previously voted for the Tories, are seeing these kind of, for want of a better word, has-beens, walking into Reform and being like, what is going on? I thought this was supposed to be a new operation with people like Zia Yusuf started his own business, got a bit of nous about him, funny guy, intelligent, and they're now getting Nadeem Zahawi.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. So I was watching the press conference on our YouTube channel and watching the live reaction from our viewers to that. And one of them said, I vowed to myself I will never vote Tory again after the kind of Boris Johnson, Rishi Sunak era.
Yeah.
And this commenter said, well, how can I vote Reform now? I feel like I'm betraying the promise I made to myself. And I think a lot of Reform voters do feel really concerned about this. We go back to the Lady Cunningham thing. Actually, isn't this just a party of retread? I think there's an interesting thing that there's Robert Jenrick, Nadeem Zahawi, very different. So Robert Jenrick isn't a has-been. He is a member, or he is an MP. He's a member. He was a member of the Shadow Cabinet, and actually, after Kemi Badenoch, he was the most high-profile, prominent of all those people. So he had a big profile. He's had some big hits on social media with all his videos, his kind of vigilante videos, all that kind of stuff. Vigilante kind of perhaps going a bit far, but anyway, he's chasing the fair dodgers. But and going after all the people who sell dodgy tools and all that. So he has built up a really good profile for himself. He is the most prominent person on that kind of opposition bench. So he's not a has-been. Nadeem Zahawi, different prospect. He's slightly, he got into all trouble with his tax, which definitely tarnished his reputation. Apparently begged for a peerage, didn't get it, and then jumped ship. Isn't an MP anymore. Also, his local constituency party, the old, they didn't seem to like him very much. So I think they're very different prospects. I think Robert Jenrick joining Reform is like a really big deal for them in the way that Nadeem Zahawi just isn't. Yeah. And I think actually, so if you look at the types of Tories who've joined, you've got two different strands. So when Danny Kruger went over, Danny Kruger...
up and coming, intelligent guy.
Very cerebral guy.
And it was like, this is
very clever guy. Yeah, he's a very clever guy. And he was actually used to work for David Cameron. He was a kind of very senior advisor to David Cameron. But he's like a big thinker. He's quite a good get for them. Anyway, he set up this group called the New Conservatives a couple of years ago. Yeah, and that was a group of red wallers, about 20 red wallers. It's him and Miriam Cates, and various others. Now, that gang basically very much aligns with the kind of Lee Anderson approach, philosophy. They're kind of Midlands, Northern MPs, understand...
Solid
right-wingers who understand aspirational working class, middle class voters, that kind of, people who drag themselves up by the bootstraps kind of voter. And they're really, really, that's very, very closely aligned with Reform. Nadeem Zahawi and Nadine Dorries, they're not part of that gang at all. They're part of that gang that you can almost kind of call a bit the Lib Demi wing of
Cameroons, the Johnsonites.
Yeah.
Kind of the very sort of...
The kind of softy, wetty...
Yeah, sort of people who could be Mayor of London. Like the sort of right winger who could be the Mayor of London. Yeah, they haven't really got that kind of.
So it's
grip.
kind of odd to me that Nigel Farage is bringing. I can see why he's bringing over the red wall. That makes a lot of sense to me. Jonathan Gullis was part of this new Conservative gang as well.
Yeah.
Marco,
friend
of the pod. Marco Longi as well. All that gang. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
It really, really aligns. I don't understand the Nadeem Zahawi or particularly the Nadine Dorries.
What about Jenrick?
So that's the So I digressed. Jenrick used to go and talk. So Jenrick wasn't a formal member of this gang.
Yeah.
But he would go and talk to them pretty much every week. They used to meet once a week.
Right.
I can't remember which day now, but it was like a kind of 6 o'clock meeting once a week.
Yep.
And he would turn up to that most weeks. And so he was clearly working really hard to kind of win them over. I think with the mind to he would run for Tory leadership. They almost all got obliterated at the general election. From what I can work out, there's only 2 who remain Tory MPs. So those 2 will now be clearly being watched like hawks by the Conservative Party whips. John Hayes, who is a mischief maker of old in the Conservative Party. Gareth Bacon, I think, is still around. So I would imagine those 2 MPs will be being watched very closely. But yeah, I think so Robert Jenrick, you can see he's mates with Danny Kruger, and he used to hang around with this gang of new Conservatives who were red wallers. Yeah. The other side of it, I don't really understand. But anyway, it's going to be a really interesting time because now you're basically bringing over 2 different factions of the Tory party into Reform, which is already a party of
they going to be doing
big figures?
Exactly what they did under the Conservative Party for 14 years, which is just fight like rats in a bloody sack.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it?
You've got Jenrick, the ultimate ambitious guy, nailing those MPIC, clearly ambitions for leader. The guy, clearly, there's the sky's the limit for him in his mind.
Yeah.
He's now going to be in a party with Farage, Lee Anderson, Rupert Lowe.
Not Rupert Lowe. He's well booted out.
Whoops. Richard Tice, Zia Youssef. And, he's just going to cause and stir a lot of trouble, isn't he? He's going to get what was quite an effective unit working towards the same goal, rising in the polls, and he's going to go in there, he's going to stir the pot, he's going to want to be leader in 5 minutes' time. Does he really even believe reform policy? It seems like he was a bit of a wet liberal about 5 minutes ago.
Oh, he was. I mean, I've known Robert Jenrick for quite some time, obviously my time over in Westminster, and I've talked to him at length about, because he definitely did start off on the kind of Cameroon side of the party. But you've got to kind of remember, he was only in his early 30s when he kind of arrived in Parliament. And you
kind of know yourself at that point.
Do you? You get a bit more right-wing as you get older, I find.
I've got very right-wing as I'm older.
I mean, you're already very right. And how old are you now?
30, just turned 30.
Okay, when you get to 50,
soon.
I think we're going to
Some would say I
words.
look 50. Yeah.
Anyway, where you go, I don't know. There's not much room left, is there?
We'll save that for another time.
But I think he kind of went in kind of as a bit of a Cameroon type. But he has said this publicly, but I had a long chat with him about this quite a while ago, about his time in the Home Office, and he always says that radicalised him because he went into the Home Office, fairly moderate kind of chap. He goes into the Home Office and went, "What the hell?
What on earth?
This is a basket case.
Yeah.
How are we not controlling our borders in this way? How are people just, running right in this way over our rights?
And to be fair, he resigns on principle, right?
He resigned on principle, and then I think and that's when you saw him like working with the New Conservatives, and also you have to remember, and I've talked to him about this as well. He represents Newark in the Midlands. The it is a kind of, there is nice kind of affluent bits around there.
Yeah.
But it also is like quite red wally in its sensibilities, and he talks to normal people every day. He's talking to ordinary people. He's not just stuck in that kind of mindset of the.
So he's been on a genuine conversion from Rewald Beavers, Cotswold, West London, Tory, just insufferable, to genuine.
Yeah.
Real deal.
I looked him in the eye and I thought he was genuine about his kind of Home Office. I mean, I think if anybody went into the Home Office, I'm surprised you could come out and be a drippy wet Liberal type after that, to be honest, because it's always been, even if you go back to the Labour Home Secretaries, Lord Blunkett is pretty right-wing. So.
Finally, to end on.
Yeah.
Farage alluded to at the start of the press conference, obviously everything that went on with Jenrick kind of got skimmed over.
Yeah.
He's talking about a potential Labour defection next week.
Yeah.
Who do you reckon it's going to be?
Well, he talked about a former Labour MP. I think I'd be amazed if anybody from the current lot jumped over, because they're very drippy. I mean, they just are, bless them.
Wet around the eyes.
You know, they're very much that kind of
woke.
Yeah, woke,
Yeah.
young. You know,
Yeah.
whatever. But he talked about former Labour MPs. I think you've got to look at the Brexiteers, so the kind of Gisela Stewart figures.
Yes.
Or Kate Hoey.
Oh God, what a throwback!
Yeah, it is. It's all quite retro. I mean,
Christ.
I don't know. There's not been really any insight, but my instinct would be go back and look at the Brexiteers, because they know him. You know, they've worked with Nigel for a long time, and obviously their home in the Labour Party kind of came to an end, really. I think with
Corbyn and all that sort of madness, and frankly Starmer as well. Could it be someone from Blue Labour? I've sort of always worried about Maurice Glassman.
Well,
I know he's not an MP. I know he's a Lord, but it could be a good sort of.
I have spoken to Maurice Glassman, Lord Glassman to you.
Sorry, I don't know why I even mentioned his first name. We are not on any terms, let alone first name terms. No idea who the guy is. Didn't know me, certainly.
He definitely is a pal of Nigel Farage's. They're kind of like
Lord
committed smokers. That old school kind of. They like to kind of push the rules a bit. They like to break the rules a bit. They're very similar kind of characters. They get on really, really well. And people do say to him like, "Oh, are you going to jump ship to reform?" His thing is, I've been in the Labour Party for 1,000 years. You know, I'm Labour to my core. I think it's one of those where he thinks the party will change in its complexion up and down the years, so it might be a bit drippy under Starmer, but you might get somebody a bit more old school. And I think I'd be amazed if he actually made that leap. That would be an amazing.
Be a bombshell.
Yeah, it would be a bombshell.
That'd be a bombshell. Speaking of bombshells, it's been a great episode. Crazy times in politics. Thank you for joining us, though. Please hit like and subscribe below and ring the bell so you get notifications and don't miss an episode. We'll be back next week with usual scheduled programming, and guess what? JJ will be back. Until then, thank you.